We good to go? What you mean, huh? You know I try to do what I can do, how I can do when I can do it. Huh? No, not yet. I'll work on it next time. All right, we good yet? Okay. I will get the pen. We'll go ahead and get started here. All right, so my probably question I ask every Shabbat is, how many of us read this week's Parsha? 1, 2, no, huh? Okay, all right. All right, so if you did, you see why Gadar might have to lock the door, but since you all didn't, we'll put you on standby. All right. So this week's Parsha is Shoftim, right? Shoftim, and it means, it's translated as judgments in the King James and in other translations as judges. But I gave you some other definitions that this word can also represent, which is something to vindicate somebody, or punishment, to govern, to litigate, plead, reason, rule, and judgment. These are all other ways that we use this, that this word is going to be used. All right. So you don't see it as a command per se. We'll see what that means later on in the lesson. Okay. So I hope everyone gets that. All right. So this is the Parsha, and because we got a lot to cover, we'll just read it in the English, but read it in the Hebrew, and we won't transliterate it, so to speak. We'll just go from there. All right. So 16:18 says, judges, and that's the word shoftim. That's where you're going to get the actual Parsha name from. The judges and officers shall you make you in all your gates, which Yahuah Elohim gives you, throughout your tribes, and they shall judge the people with just judgment. Now, the judges, and what does the officers do? They enforce. One judges, one enforce. Okay, this is what they need inside the community, because sometimes people don't like judgment, right? Some people, oh, you went against me. Officer, get them. All right. So anyway, we'll keep that in the Hebrew there. Did anyone want to read it, or you just want me to read it? Okay, shoftim, right? So it says shoftim, which shitrim titei lecha b'chol she'arecha, which literally means, in judge and officer shall you make you in all your gates. Asher Yahuah Elohecha noten lecha, which means what? Throughout, which Yahuah Elohim gives you. Then we have Nishbatecha, which is throughout your tribes. Then it has Washiftu Et Ha'am Mishpat Sadech, which literally means, and they shall judge the people with just judgment. How it's translated, if we did this word for word, it'd be slightly different. All right. What does it mean? And it says, just shall you follow. And we got this out of our Parsha, where it says, that which is altogether just shall you follow, that you may live and inherit the land which Yahuah Elohim gives you. What does it mean, just shall you follow? Right? No problem. Think about it. Here's the first one.
Those that are walking in righteousness.
Okay. So righteous, right? Just is the same word for righteous.
Just
right?
is.
Okay. So it says the root to be, causively make right, in a moral or forensic sense, cleanse, clear, self, be, justice, justified, turn, righteous, righteousness. That's the word there. The root word there is sadach, right? Right. So now it says you shall follow. Now the word follow doesn't really give a good definition of the Hebrew word. So I want to give you what it says in Hebrew there, which is radaf, it literally means to run after. Okay, you got to really run with how? With hostile intent, fitted to go up to chase, put to flight, to follow after, to hunt. Okay, under what type of persecution, pursuit? So in other words, when he's saying here that which altogether a just shall you follow, the righteous shall run after it. Okay, so it's not just I follow you. It's like, no, this thing is so imperative. This is so good, or I need this. I am going to hunt this thing down. Okay, I'm going to pursue it, chase after it. Is everyone with me so far? All right. Keep that in mind. Okay, so how will we judge? Now, it says, if there arise a matter too hard for you in judgment, between blood and blood, between plea and plea, between stroke and stroke, being matters of controversy within your gates, then shall you arise and get you up into the place which Yahuah Elohim shall choose. And you shall come into the priests, the Luim or the Levites, and unto the judge, the Shaphat, that shall be in those days, and inquire, and they shall show you the sentence of judgment. And you shall do according to the sentence which they of that place, which Yahuah shall choose, shall show you, and you shall observe to do according to all that they inform you. So if a judge makes a judgment or whatever it is, what is it telling us so far? I want to go against that judge. I don't like that judge's verdict at all. I don't like that. Can you do that? Okay, so the minute you put it into a court or into a council, what winds up happening? You're saying, I surrender everything to whatever they're going to say. And then we'll see what happens after that. So, of course, the word there for hard, right? The word for hard there is pala. Okay, something that is to distinguish figuratively, but I want you to show that something that makes greater, something that is difficult, we know wonderful, accomplished, but to be too hard, something that's hidden, things too high, miracles and perform, right? So something that's too hard for you to do, you bring, or something too difficult, then you bring it to the council, you bring it to the judges. Is everyone okay with that so far? All right. How shall we judge, right? 17:11 says, according to the sentence of the law which they shall teach you, and according to the judgment which they shall tell you, you shall do, you shall not decline from the sentence which they shall show you, to the right hand nor to the left. And the man that will do presumptuously and will not hearken or will not listen or not obey unto the priest that stands to minister there before Yahuah Elohim, or unto the judge, even that man shall die, and you shall put away the evil from Israel, Yashra. Okay, so we'll see what that word means presumptuously in just a minute, but you have to listen to it. And if you don't, the consequences is death. Is everyone with me so far? This is a pretty strong community, right? Mm-hmm. All right. So Zadon means presumptuously, but it means arrogance, pride, proud, right? You're in a council, someone starts getting puffed up, right? Starts getting proud, starts getting a certain way, they say, hold on, something's wrong here. You will not do that. You will not do presumption. You will not hearken. Now, let's look at the root of that word, which is the word there, zud. And it says, see, to be insolent, to be proud, deal proudly, presume, presumptuously. So what does this word mirror means? See. What does that word mean? Okay, so I can get this from this here. This one here, someone that starts to boil. It starts to boil inside. They start to foam up, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. You can't get this way. Remember, you released everything to the council. Okay, so how many of us, we get into a disagreement or something, we start to boil a little bit. We start to get loud. We don't like what we hear. We start to get offended, right? We can't do that. Having a king and being a king. So here's where it starts to get, you gotta make sure that door is locked. 17:14. When you are come into the land which Yahuah Elohim gives you, and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. Now keep that in mind. You shall in any wise set him king over you, whom Yahuah Elohim shall choose, one from among your brethren shall you set king over you. You may not set a stranger over you, which is not your brother. Okay, so all that voting, let me go to the polls, and that's not your king. What he's going to do change. How many of us went over there when Barack Obama went over there? It was all up in them polls. Oh, yeah. Huh? And then all of a sudden when Trump came in, forget this. That's 666 in the office now. I'm not going to the poll, right? Anyway, that's your king. You don't need to be doing that. All right. He said, but he that shall not multiply horses to him, nor cause the people to return to Mitzrayim. Question: why can't the king multiply horses? What's wrong with horses? So you should have one horse? Okay, we're going to see in just a minute. And then it says the people to return to Mitzrayim or Egypt, to the end that he should multiply horses, for as much as Yahuah has said unto you, you shall henceforth return no more that way. You're not going back to Egypt. Don't get nothing out of Egypt. Keep that in mind. Well, we'll see, because there's some scripture we're going to use to share with you what that means. Verse 17, of course, it's highlighted for your convenience. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away, neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. What does it mean, multiply wives, and why can't he have some more silver and gold? Anyone? Uh-oh, here we go. Takes your attention away from Yahuah. Okay.
And could it be that money is the root of all evil?
Okay. Depending on how they use that money. Right? You can use the money for righteousness, but it could be the root of evil in a person that is evil. Okay. We'll keep going. So we know that Yahuah is Yisrael or Israel's king, right? There was no need for them to have a king like the nations, but he's given a lesson because he knows that that's what they want, right? He already knows, but they already had a king. All right, they were to be a special nation. Yahuah wanted to be king over all kings and nations. All nations will know the king. So that was the objective initially is, you ever hear that in church, King of Kings and? Yes, right? That's what he wants to say it again. Says, you want to get on the mic? Okay, no problem.
Lords of Lords.
Yeah. So that's what he wanted, right? They already had a king. They already had a judge. They had everything that they needed. But he knew that in their heart, at some point, when they get out on their own, they're going to see what the nations have and say, I would like to have what the nations have, right? Now you start becoming like the nations, right? We're going to see how this works. How are we doing so far? Good? I didn't brush past this now, just so you understand. It's going to come back to haunt you in a minute. All right, so wanting a king. 1 Samuel 8:4 says, then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together and came to, who's that? Shemuel, unto Ramata, which is translated as Ramah, and said unto him, behold, you are old, and your sons walk not in your ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. See, he knew what they were going to ask back in the Torah. Now here it comes. So, but the thing displeased Shemuel or Samuel when they said, give us a king to judge us. And Shemuel prayed unto Yahuah, and Yahuah said unto Shemuel, listen hearken unto the voice of the people and all that they say unto you. For they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. See that? Somehow the nations, when you're in that nation, you start to conform and want to be like whatever that nation is doing because it seems better than the nation you're already in. Okay, is everyone with me so far?
I know this is off topic.
Mhm.
I know this is off topic, but
Mhm.
Samuel 5, verse 5.
Mhm.
It's amazing to me. He said, these people come to him and say, you're old and your sons walk not in your ways. And he was the prophet of Israel.
Mhm.
That's baffling to me,
Mhm.
you know, because it means you can be a righteous man and your children just go wayward anyway.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. And you'll see later on, this is so important about these generations, what we have to do. We can't even operate as a community now. See what I mean?
And that's exactly what's happening right now. You can raise your children up, or you could be a righteous parent, a really good parent, and you try to raise your children to the best of your ability, boy. But when they get out in that world, it's a whole new ball game.
Yep. The world seems more pleasing. The world seems a lot better than what you're in. What you're in is boring. Okay, that's what you're in. What you gotta do. Oh my gosh, you tell me all I can do is just read, go to Shabbat, feast days, and that's it, and study and pray and pray. There has to be more to it. Then you look, there's video games, there's some old TV shows. Huh? I know it's none of us in here. I keep going. All right. So the very thing that Torah stated happened. They rejected Yahuah as king and wanted to be like the other nations. Remember in the series I did how watchers or beings, mighty one, Serim, or the princes and the spirits, the Rechot, rule over certain regions of the earth. You remember we went over this. Yahuah will be using Israel to conquer these nations and to show who is the true ruler, not just of those regions, but of the world. He will be the king that will judge, right? Which is the word Shaphat, which is a singular word for the word Shoftim. So again, he's going to use Israel because of all that took place, how wicked this world became. He said, okay, let me get a set of people, create a covenant with them, and then watch me conquer all of their kings and those demonic spirits. And I'm going to use this one little small nation to rule over this whole world, right? So if everyone understands that, you got to understand from the smaller scale, if we can't get it together, how in the world could we go out to the nations in the world and show that this is the Father, and we just bickering and fighting among each other? Can't do it, right? So he's going to start with a remnant. It's always with the remnant. You always start with something small to make it great. Anyway, multiplying horses. Psalms of Tehillim 27-9, it says, some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of Yahuah Elohim. They are brought down and fallen, but we are risen and stand upright. Save Yahuah. Let the king hear us when we call. Okay, so the king should not multiply horses to build himself up. It was by, excuse me, it was by like him thinking it was his own power or might that gave him this salvation. The more horses, the more power. This is me now. This is not the Father. You start to lose the Father in the equation because now you're starting to get more wealth, right? So then, getting their own power and forgetting the one who gave it, having the horses was not the problem. Okay? Example with Shlomo. Okay, so I told you, you got to come back circle now. Hold your chair, get a seat belt. All right. So Melachim Aleph for 1 Kings 10:23 says, so the king, Solomon or Shlomo, exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom, right? So they're all coming for this thing. And all the earth sought to Shlomo or Solomon to hear his wisdom, which Elohim hath put in his heart. Okay, so the Father gave him, he's been a wise man, and people are coming afar just to hear him, right? Okay. Then he says, and they brought every man his presents, vessels of silver, vessels of gold, and garments and armor and spices, horses and mules, a rate how?
Year by year.
Year by year to bring this thing. He's really growing. Okay. And Shlomo Solomon gathered together chariots and horsemen, and he had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen whom he bestowed in the cities from chariots for the chariots and with the king at Jerusalem or Jerusalem. And the king made silver to be in Jerusalem or Jerusalem as stones, and cedar made he to be as the sycamore trees that are in the vale for abundance. And Shlomo or Solomon had horses brought out of, man, I mean, he's like going all against the Torah.
Yeah.
And linen yarn, and king's merchants received the linen yarn at a price. And the chariots came up and went out of Mitzrayim, Egypt, for 600 shekels of silver, and horses for 150. And so for all the kings of the Chatim, or the Hittites, and for the king of Aram, Assyria, did they bring them out by their means. So you see what Solomon is doing, right? You're gonna see he's up in age, got a lot of wisdom, but he's now using the wisdom that the father has for himself, his gain now. So we're gonna see what winds up happening. So it says, yes, I'll talk about multiplying wives in just a minute. 111 says, 11:1 says, but the kings, Shlomo Solomon, loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of what? The Moabitiyot, right? Who else? Ammoniyot, the Ammonites, and Adamiyot, okay, the Edomites, and Sadiniyot, and Hittites, or the Kittiyot, right? All right, so notice we had, these are all considered what? Strange women, okay? What makes them strange? Okay, different nations, that all that makes them strange? Because suppose someone marries someone of a different nation?
They pagans.
Yes, and they were different belief systems, so they would take them away from the Most High. They would take Solomon away from the Most High because of their pagan belief systems.
Okay, so we see what he had, right? Now, I'm not saying Yehuda didn't have no beautiful women. Understand? Somehow, they wanted what the other nations had, right? Great. So it says, of the nations concerning which Yahuah said unto the children of Yashar or Israel or Israel, you shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they would what? Turn away your heart after their Elohim. Now you remember in the Torah portion it says, do not multiply wives, lest they what? Turn your heart. So he knew what he was talking about here. He's doing the very opposite of what he remembered. All kings had to write out the Torah. Remember that? All right. So he knew about this. Anyway, so surely shall they would turn away his heart after their Elohim. And it says, Shalom or Solomon clave unto these in love. He said, oh my goodness. You see the way she walked. The jewels on her toes. Right? All right. Verse 3. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. And his wives turned away his heart. Okay? For it came to pass when Shalom or Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other Elohim. Do you see what happens? So did he have a problem with him multiplying wives? Or do you have a problem with him multiplying wives? At least something that comes with it. Turning heart, right? We'll see in a minute. So in his heart was not perfect with Yahuah, his Elohim, as was the heart of David or David, his father. Question, did David have a bunch of wives? Yes. Okay? But it says he was not perfect with Yahuah, his Elohim, what? As was the heart of David. So the problem is not the multiplying wives. The problem in this context is he have taken on these strange women to turn his heart. Okay, keep that in mind. All right, so here's a stable. When you go to Harmageddo, or in Armageddon, as it's commonly called in King James, this is what you'll see. This is the sight that you'll see. And when we went up there, if you go by here, there's a tunnel that goes all the way down into this mountain. You got to walk all the way out. But anyway, look at all of the stables and stuff that he had. All this was for his horses. Okay, he had a nice prime place just for his horses. Okay, and it's supposed to be the place where war is supposed to take place, Armageddon, right? That's the spot, they say. All right, keep that in mind. 11:5 says, for Shlomo Solomon went after, who did he go after now? Ashtoret, right? Or Ashtaroth, as it says. And then Elohei, which is goddesses of Ho, Pseudonym, right? And after Milchom, the abomination of the Ammonites, right? Or the Ammonim. So, and Solomon or Shlomo did evil in the sight of Yahuah and went not fully after Yahuah, as did who? David, his father. Okay. Then did Shlomo or Solomon build a high place for the Chemosh, right? The abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, an abomination of the children of Ammon, or Ammon. And likewise did he for all his, now he's building their Elohim places, okay? Which burnt incense and sacrifices unto their Elohim. All right. And Yahuah was angry with Shlomo Solomon because his heart was turned from Yahuah, Elohim of Yisrael Israel, which had appeared unto him twice. Okay. So he's angry with him because of what reason? Because these strange women turned from him, and now he started building Elohims. He started doing the very thing that he said not to do. All right. When you look at this word here, strange wife, the word strange, someone that in degree of application of someone that is foreign. We know it's not relative. Also someone that is adulterous, alien, foreigner, outlandish. Is there such thing as outlandish woman?
Oh, yeah.
Huh? It's you know what I find interesting? How all the men, yeah, oh yeah. Sister said nothing. Excuse me? Right, okay, I got you. It's all good, I understand. We'll keep going to the next slide. All right. So now we move on to the next part of the Parsha. Raising up a prophet. Okay, Yahuah Elohim will raise up unto you a prophet from the midst of you, of your brethren, like unto me, unto him you shall hear. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto you, and you will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass, whatsoever will not hearken or listen or obey unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. Okay, now, who is this? Remember, we talked about this before. This is a prophet. So he's starting, technically, if you will, the prophethood or the prophet office. Okay, he's going to be raising prophets, and as these prophets starts coming out, they're going to be supposed to be speaking on behalf of the Father. If you don't listen to him, it's going to be required of you. And we know the Mashiach was also called a prophet. So we got to see what he says as well. 20 says, but the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other Elohim, even that prophet shall die. So that tells you that he's specifically talking about a prophet that he will have among your brethren. Everyone sees this, right? All right. And then what must he do? He must speak whatever Yahuah tells him to speak. All right, great. Mashiach says this here, and it says, in Yehudim, marvel, saying, how know this man letters, having never learned? Yahushua answered and said to him, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. So he's already letting you know what I'm sharing or what I'm giving out is his. So you can't have the Messiah saying stuff that's contrary to the Father. You see what I mean? Because I believe in Yahushua the Mashiach. I believe in him. We ain't got to do the law. We ain't got to do this. We ain't got to do that. But according to his Torah and according to the instructions, and according to even Isaiah 8:20, he said, don't speak according to this law. There ain't no light in him. And he's claiming to be the light, right? So, of course, he would have to say the things that can't contradict the Father's word. Is everyone with me so far? All right, John 12:48, he says, he that rejects me and receives not my words has one that judges him. The word that I have spoken, the same shall judge him in the last days. Now, you got to ask yourself a question. If he never taught against the Torah, and his words are going to judge you in the last days, and you go try to find some other person that tells you can't do it, it's done away with, it's been fulfilled. So fulfilled means it's been abolished. But yet he didn't say that, and that's what the Messiah meant. You're going to have a problem. Okay? Oh, yeah. You're not going to tell me no one can keep it. But you remember we talked about earlier that he says those that keep his commandment, he's going to give them mercy. Why need mercy if you're keeping the commandments? Because again, he knows you're going to fall short, but because you're trying to keep them, I'm going to give you mercy. All right, we'll keep going. For I have not spoken of myself, but the Father which sent me, he gave me a commandment, what I should say and what I should speak. And I know that his commandments is life everlasting or eternal, right? Like eternal life. All right, great. Whatsoever I speak, therefore, even as the Father said unto me, so I speak, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever have I commanded you, and lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. So all things, you can't take away nothing, right? So if you think about it, the teachings were Yahushua, the teachings were not Yahushua's, but Yahuah, right? He taught the word of Elohim. If you look at Luke 8:11-12, we talked about that, right? The seed is the word. And the devil comes and try to take the word out of your mouth, lest you be saved, right? He taught that. Matthew 19:16-7. Hey, good man, what must I do to have everlasting life? He says, well, why do you call me good? There's only one good, but Elohim. But if you want everlasting life or eternal life, keep the commandment. That's his words, right? Not one jot, not one tittle, by no means you pass the law to all be fulfilled. All has not been fulfilled. So again, if you start walking down everything that he says, he's still teaching, keep the commandments, keep the instructions coming called the law, right? Yeah. So this is what he's saying. And if he don't, then he's not the right prophet. All right. So anyway, keep that in mind. So show his word will stand. That's what happens. So his word will stand for sure. All right. So multiplying things to a point of wickedness. First and foremost, this Parsha is concerning judgment, meaning right ruling. This is not talking about something that's commanded for somebody to do. This is right ruling or judgment. Okay, we know kings or king has wealth, horses, silver, gold, and wives. But the Parsha is talking about what a king would have to understand when ruling his people. All the items above was used to turn the heart of the king. Why? Because he becomes king like Yahuah. He's an image like Yahuah. Yahuah's the king. Now you want to be like the nations, but he says, I'll be among your brother, because he's still believing that being among your brother, you still want to teach the law, statutes, and commandments, even though he'll tax the heck out of you. Anyway, these items are not sin unless used in a way that their heart be turned from Yahuah. The animals, metals like silver and gold, precious metals, women specifically, foreign women. Okay, is everyone with me so far? All right, 3 cities. 3 cities that Israel must set up. Everyone's familiar with the Cities of refuge? All right. So you shall separate 3 cities for you in the midst of your land, which Yahuah Elohim gives you to possess it. You shall prepare you a way and divide the coast of your land, which Yahuah Elohim gives you to inherit, into 3 parts, that every slayer may flee there. And this is the case of the slayer, which shall flee there, that he may live. Whosoever kills his neighbor ignorantly, whom he hated not in times past. So it didn't say murder. That's a whole different Hebrew word. It's kill. So as when a man goes into the wood, I'll give you an example, with his neighbor to hew wood, and his hand fetches a stroke with the axe to cut down the tree, and the head slips from the help and lights upon his neighbor, just lights upon him, right? And that he die. He shall flee unto one of those cities and live. He turned around, see his neighbor, his brother laying down. He's not going to say, are you okay? He's going to say, oh my gosh. Where is the city of refuge? I'm out of here. He got a mean family. Okay. Yeah, I know what's going to happen, right? To keep in mind, he's going to flee. Verse 6, lest the avenger of the blood pursue the slayer, while his heart is hot. I mean, he is hot. Okay? And overtakes him, because the way is long, and to slay him, this is whereas he was not worthy of death. There are some things that is worthy of death and some things that are not worthy of death. I want you to keep this in mind, because we got to see something in just a minute. And as so much as he hated him not in time past, I never hated him. This was truly an accident. Okay? Wherefore I command you, saying, you shall separate 3 cities for you. How are we doing so far? All right. 3 cities of refuge. So, example from this Parsha comes upon a friend while in the woods. He did not hate him in the day before. As he is chopping wood, the axe slips out of his hand and hits his neighbor or his friend. That person dies. Number 2, a family member may want to get revenge or avenge the death of his or her family member. And then he flees to one of these cities for protection. Mind you, we know what? Yahuah hates a murderer. So he's not considered a murderer, because you know that he hates a murderer. Is everyone good? And he changes not. Is everyone in agreement to that? Yeah? Say it one more time. Cain, right? Because we got to talk about him in just a minute. Has this happened before in the Torah? With the what? Cain and Abel. All right, great. All right, so let's look at this. Cain or Cain and Habel or Abel, right? So it says, and Cain talked with Habel or Abel, his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Habel for his brother and slew him, not to kill him, because you got to look up what happened. So we'll see in just a minute. And Yahuah said unto Cain or Cain, where is Habel, your brother? And he said to you, I know not. He says, Shomer achi anochi, right? Oh, my bad. Okay. It's right here. Shomer achi anochi. Okay, am I my brother's keeper? Do I keep? Do I preserve? Do I guard my brother? Okay. And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries unto me from the ground. Now, what does that mean right there? He could have hit his brother and just left him. Not he's down there, I can't wait till you're dead, right? So could you imagine you having a fight and you feel like you won the fight and you leave, but you don't know what happened. He could have either passed out, he could have died, or if you don't help him or preserve him, at some point he could die, right? So he said, hey, right now the blood is crying out. He said, now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened her mouth to receive her brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto you her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shall you be in the earth. Now, once they see, there's the punishment. But if he's a murderer, what's the consequences for a murderer? Okay, So why give him a punishment if he didn't murder him?
Because if his intention was to kill him but hurt him, people wouldn't punish him for that.
Okay, A, for that. And the second thing is, who would say, Shomer Aki Anochi? Who would say that? Who would say, listen, am I my brother's keeper? So I got to get you because your heart, there's a problem there, right? So we're going to see. So I put the etymology. I said the root word there is harag. It attests in only a few of the Semitic languages. The Hebrew harag probably corresponds to the OSA. OSA letters mean Old South Arabic, okay? And it means, in the Arabic, means kill, hagar, slaughter, or hunt. It also relates to Moabite, right? The same word, which is also attested as a Canaanite loan word of Yehudich in the Old Aramaic text. This is uncertain, though, right? So then it says, it is linguistically significant that the root harag is not found in Akkadian, Ugaritic, or Aramaic. So they defined that word based off of some Old South Arabic, some may call modern Aramaic, X, Y, and Z. That's where the definition. So when you look in your Strongs and you look in your certain lexicons, you will say, well, this is what it says. But you got to look at some other older Semitic languages, see what is also being translated. But anyway, we'll keep going. So anyway, but only in the Hebrew, the Moabite, the Old South Arabic. All right. So what was the killing premeditated? It was premeditated
But
killing.
Again, if the word does not.
Yes, it was premeditated.
Okay. So he knew what killing was.
Yep,
So there had to have been a killing prior to that for him to know what killing is.
I guess so.
He didn't intentionally kill him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when the sacrifice of the lamb was made, he took no killing from
He was
that.
upset with his brother. He probably fought with his brother.
Right.
He hurt him.
Mhm,
He
but-
thought I hurt him real bad, but I didn't mean necessarily to kill him.
right. In other words, okay. So question is, prior to his killing, was there any other killing or killings recorded in Scripture?
Yeah, the lamb.
No,
No, not a person. That's the first murder.
no.
Okay.
Not of a human. There was that lamb.
Right. But when you do a sacrifice, and mind you, the one that did that was Habel or Abel. He did what? What was his offering to the Most High?
Excuse me, Moreh.
Talking about the lamb with Adam.
Yeah. But who did that?
Excuse me, Moreh.
Okay.
This Dawood. Well, when you read the scripture, it doesn't. It is premeditated because of the conversation that he had with the Most High. The Most High was saying that he see the enemy crouched at his doorstep, and he was telling Cain not to consider the way of the enemy. So obviously, the enemy. I mean, you just read between lines. The enemy is the one that put the thought there.
You said do what now?
He said read between the lines.
Well, make sure I got it right. You said what now?
Yeah, you got yeah. If you just go with what the scripture is saying, it's saying the enemy had put the thought there, for Cain to kill his brother, because the father was talking to Cain. He said, "I see the enemy crouched at your footstep. Don't consider his way.
Right.
If you do what your brother do, I'll bless you the same way." So it was an issue that was there.
Okay. So I agree there's an issue, but where do we find that he's specifically talking about killing him? Or better yet, murdering him.
Because that part doesn't necessarily mean you kill him. It just means I'm playing it up to him.
Right. So I can, if I'm offended, right. If he planned on hurting him, right, and he doesn't have the concept that if I'm fighting, that I'm trying to murder this guy. Because if he is trying to murder this guy, why would the father need to protect him? Why does he need protection when we know that he can't stand a murderer?
Right. So in other words, Cain literally didn't have a concept of whatever I'm about to do was going to kill this man.
Right. This equates to murder. That's what I'm asking. Does Cain have the idea?
So he thought he was going to do something and get back up?
Well, listen, if I can get you down or wounded, that doesn't mean you're dead. Right. Yeah. How many of us have an argument? We start off with a disagreement, right? You disagreeing with brother, sister, spouse, whatever it is. Does that thing escalate in any way? Was that the intent? Was for it to escalate there? Okay, two brothers arguing about are we doing a lunar moon or not? Because I was there for one of them. Okay, I was there for one of these. That's why they come in, shalom, my brother. They all brothers when they come in. Shalom, my king. Hey, my shalom chab. The son of Tadah, we good. Next thing you know, I will kill you. What? What? What happened to the peace? Right? Shalom is gone. Right? So what I'm saying is, but they didn't come with the expectations of that, but it got to a level. And if it could have gotten even worse, it could have been fighting. And once he starts seeing blood, hit him hard enough that he see blood and he fall. I'm out of here, man. I ain't got time for this. And leave. Could he still been alive when he left? But at some point, he dies. Now, because his blood is crying out. It didn't cry out. It's crying, present tense,
so he
out.
was still alive at the time that God was.
That's what I said. We'll talk about that when next year, when we go over the Hebrew. We'll see what tense is this in. And let's see what's going on. But my point is, keep that in mind. All right.
I mean, he done wrote all the Christian doctrine.
Oh.
That was my first murder.
Oh, yeah. He murdered him, right? So if he was a murderer, why would Yahuah want to protect a murderer?
Trivia question. Who's the first murderer? Gang.
Right? So the thing he is guilty of is the killing with what? With apathy. Okay, what's apathy? I don't care. Okay, I'm firing. Okay, it says when you till the ground, it will not yield her strength. Right? That's what he told him. He will be a nod and it would not, or a fugitive and a vagabond, wander. And I want you to look this up in the Hebrew. I think it's in the concordance if you use that. But if you're using some other lexicons, notice it means wander in what type? In mourning.
Oh, wow.
Regretting what he did. It's a little bit different than someone else, right? So now, if this means wander in the form of mourning or sorrow, this is where he is. All right. The place that he dwelt was called Nod, or as we would say, Nod in English. And the word translated for vagabond is Nud. Both share the same root word. So he's in a place that he's dwelling in a place that's technically for wandering in mourning. Okay. And that's the name, but we'll talk about a little bit more as we keep going. It says both share the same roots, or the shoresh, to flee to a place to mourn. Same principle in this week's Parsha. Someone kills, what happened? He has to go to a place for protection, right? Let's look at that. So this is and Cain came, said unto Yahuah, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, you have driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from your face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass, everyone that finds me shall slay me, right? Same thing you read in this parsha, you know, whoever, that's my brother, sister, whoever it is, I'm trying to kill him. Same principle. It says, and Yahuah said unto them, therefore, whosoever slays Cain or Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold, not just one fold, but sevenfold. And Yahuah set a mark upon Cain or Cain, lest any find him should kill him. I mean, if he's a murderer, what do you need to do this for, Father? So what? Or, and we all agree he didn't change, right? That's what we all said, right? All right. 16 says, and Cain or Cain went out from the presence of Yahuah and dwelt in the land of Nod, or Nod, on the east of Eden, or Eden. And Cain or Cain knew his Ishar, his wife, Ishakiz and Ber Chanuch, or Enoch, and he built a city. What are they supposed to do? In this Parsha, they're supposed to build 3 cities of refuge. He's over here, and he builds a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son, Chanuk. And so when we get back to this Parsha, we'll go over how that works together. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Moreh, I have a question.
Mm-hmm. Ken.
In reference to, you were asking if there was like a similar killing in the Bible. So with all this understood, what about David when he put was it Bathsheba's husband? No.
Yeah,
Uriah
the Hittite.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
at the front line to kill her husband because he wanted her as wife.
Now, question was, did he kill, or did he put him in war for someone
Okay.
else to kill
No,
him?
he didn't. Okay, I got you.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
But
I have a question too, Moreh.
hold on. But
in
because
rep-
hold on, but
Go
because
ahead.
of his actions, it wasn't him, but his son gets the penalty for those actions. So remember, there's still justice for it. Okay, go ahead. What you had, Moreh?
I just wanted to ask in reference to John chapter 8, when the Mashiach is making reference to the devil. Well, he's talking to the Pharisees there, and he's saying, you have your father, the devil.
Mm-hmm.
He was a murderer from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm just trying to, understand, what's being said there. Who is that murder that's being spoke there? And talking about what you're talking about too. With murder and being premeditated, or with murder with apathy.
Okay, so what the adversary did, his death came before the garden. Okay, death, we're thinking of death in a way of, when it says he was a murderer from the beginning of what? From the beginning of Adam and Eve? Or was there something that happened even before that? So he's the one that created something. So that's what I say, when we actually go over, the word murder and look at it from different lexicons, let's see what happened. And then there are some quotes from the Akkadian and Ugaritic that has the same story that happened before. Okay.
Toda.
No problem. All right. So parallel both stories. Yeah. Let me go back here. Oh. Yeah. I'm going with there we go. All right, so parallels in both stories. So Genesis, or better sheet 4:14 says, behold, you have driven me out of this day from the face of the eretz of the land, and from your face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. But it says, and it shall come to pass that everyone that finds me shall slay me. This Parsha, right? It says, he shall flee unto one of those cities and live, lest the avenger of the blood pursue the slayer while his heart is hot, and overtakes him, because the way is long, and to slay him. And then it says, whereas he was not worthy of death, and as much as he hated him not in times past. Okay, some things is worthy of death, some things is not worthy of death, but it doesn't mean it's not worthy of punishment. Okay, all right. Sin worthy of death, we read that in Shemot, because this is talking about the same story. Shemot, or Exodus chapter 21, verse 12 through 14 says, he that smites a man so that he die shall be surely put to death. If a man lie not in wait, but Elohim deliver him into his hand, then I will appoint you a place where he shall flee. But if a man comes presumptuously upon his neighbor to slay him with guile, you shall take him from my altar that he may die. That's the difference. Okay, so we look at this word there for guile. We got arma, which means, what type of guile is this? Someone that is doing what? Trickery. Guile, prudence, tilly, they despise this thing. All right, a lot different. All right, 4:15 says, and Yahuah said unto him, therefore whosoever slay Cain or Cain, right, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And Yahuah set a mark upon Cain or Cain, lest any find and should kill him. I said, so the point of the mark was to protect him from anyone that wants to avenge the killing. The protection is mirrored to the person in this week's Parsha. If that person killed by accident or unintentionally, they can be protected. He gets protection. In this Parsha, you're talking about someone that does something unintentionally gets protected.
Are we just talking about brothers?
Hmm?
Or we killing strangers?
Well, we don't murder, period. You mean killing or murder? So let me make sure I get that
Okay.
right. Okay. If we murder a stranger, remember he says for you a stranger. You'll see throughout the Torah portion, he's telling you can't murder because you feel like murdering outside of your people. I don't like that guy.
So here,
I want to see you
need a
leak.
question.
Uh-huh.
When Moshe came of age and he saw the burdens of his people,
Mm-hmm.
and the Egyptian was chastising his people,
Okay.
and he looked this way,
Uh-huh.
and he looked that way,
He sure did.
and he slew the Egyptian
Absolutely.
and buried him in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody knew what he did.
Right.
Killed one of his brothers.
Mhm.
They were fighting. He said, "You shouldn't do this." Man.
Right.
He said, "What you gonna do? Kill us like you killed the Egyptian?"
Mm-hmm.
Which caused him to fear.
Right. Uh-huh.
So, was that murder, or was that?
Well, okay. Well, let's call it murder. I want to call it murder.
Yeah.
Question would be is whose house was he in?
Pharaoh.
Okay. Are you saying he's walking after the walk of Yahuah? No. So that's just right.
So if it was,
So if he was in the walk, you saying if he, in other words, if he was literally walking after Torah, X, Y, and Z, then we may have a case. But that's not what happened. He was raised in Pharaoh's court, part of Pharaoh. You don't see him going over, let me just learn the Torah with the Hebrews. You don't see that. It wasn't until later he said, well, who are you? He had to find who he was. Let me go see why this bush burns, this on fire don't burn. Who are you? And now he starts to explain who he is. He didn't know who he was. So we can't, just like us in the, before we came into this walk, there's a lot of stuff we probably would be burnt for, right? Or been in trouble for. But the minute you came into the walk, you did all kinds of praying. Father, forgive me. I repent. Throw that thing in the sea for forgiveness to be remembered. As far as the east is to the west, right? Now all of a sudden you want that thing gone as though it never existed. That's how we work.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I understand. All right. So could the story concerning Cain or Cain shed some light on the laws concerning innocent killing? Okay. You got going on here. All right. All right. So the story of Cain sheds light. So we know that in this parsha it says, you shall prepare you a way and divide the coast for your land, which Yahuah Elohim gives you to inherit into 3 parts, that every slayer may flee there. Right? And then in Cain on Bereshit, it says, and Cain knew his Ishar, his wife. She conceived in Ber Chanoch or Enoch, and he built a city and called the name of the city after his name of his son Chanoch. Right? So Cain was not his brother's keeper. That's the problem. He did not guard or keep his brother. He did not regard what would happen after what he did. Whoever was not Cain given, however, was not Cain given protection. Okay, so Cain was shown mercy. In this parsha, we can see that if you fail to protect your brother, by accident, an act of kindness is still given to you. You are still protected. Okay? 4 types of people. Y'all remember the story? All right, great. Glad you do. Debariym of Deuteronomy 20, verse 5 says, and the officer, and I'm giving you the 4, all right? So the officer shall speak unto the people, saying, what man is there that has built a new house and has not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle and another man dedicate it. So if he died, question is, so what? He's dead. Would he care? But he's thinking about something. Number 2, and what man is he that has planted a vineyard and hath not yet eaten of it? Let him also go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle and another man eat of it. Who cares, right? Again, if he's dead, does it matter? But clearly there's a point that he's getting here, which we'll see in a minute. And what man is there that has betrothed a beautiful, honest, righteous, virtue? I know it's not in there. Let me keep going. And has not taken her, let him go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle and another man takes her. That's 3. Number 4, and the officer shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, what man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return unto his house, lest his brethren's heart faint as well as his heart. Y'all see the 4 types? Okay. One of these are different. Which one is it? The 4th one, right? Okay, great. All right. So, okay, one seems different. The last one has fear in him. It could be better for him to stay back than to go and get his brethren killed, right? As if he is scared, he would cause fear and panic to whomever he talks to. In other words, you sure you see that they're bigger, more bigger than I? You remember the story? Cause all these problems. I said the other 3 has nothing to do with the people, but themselves, if you will. The first deals with building a house. The second one deals with a vineyard. And the third one deals with a marriage. Why this pattern? Where did these 4 ideas stem from? And in this order? Okay, what about fear? Okay, so we're going to see, for an example, what this means. All right, so to avoid death, all 4 examples was to avoid death, right? In other words, these are the 4, go back. By having these 4 principles, death will not come upon you or us. So when we get back to the scriptures, we begin to build, number 1, our house, inner person of the spirit. I want you to see how this is going to grow as we get into these different levels. Our house, right, which is our body, if you will. Our physical house, the place that we dwell. And the next is the community, coming together as a great family or a house. Sometimes we are having a hard time. Some of us are having a hard time here. Just can't get ourselves together. Some of us may have ourselves together, but this part is in disarray. Some of us may have these 2 together, but community-wise, heck no. Right? We can't, function together as one. We can't be a chad for whatever reason, right? And then if you have all these, finally, number 4, it says, as being ready for his house, Mashiach stated, I pray that they be one as we are one. A lot of people do not understand what being one really means. Each stage is a progression in understanding. If you can be one with you and the Father, you've learned something. You should have achieved something, a connection between you and the Father. Okay? You've learned how to be one with the Father through his word, and the Father showing you his love, right? Once you have that, the next thing would be, let's say you, yourself, and your household, right? There should be a unity, a unit of one, from the woman to the man to the children. Everybody should be in a chad, being one. If that can happen, the next thing is community-wise, right? The community can be, you should be operating the same way as you operate to the Father, as you and your household operates to the Father, as now you, your house, and the community operates towards the Father. Is everyone with me so far? So that means helping whomever it is, they're part of your community, they're a part of you. You are one with them. Is everyone with me so far?
But if you ain't got number 1 together, number 2 ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, each one will break down. That's why it says progression. If this doesn't work, this is not gonna work. That's not gonna work. Nothing's gonna work. You can bypass it all you like, but the bottom line is, if you can't have this relationship and get your spirit aligned with his spirit and have it guide you, how in the world are you going to operate your house or even be a part of his house? How's that possible to do that? Okay. All right. Let me erase all this good stuff since I forgot this stuff is recorded. Uh-oh. Yeah, it is pressed.
Wow.
See? Let me try it again. See? Yeah, no, we'll keep going. All right, so the first 3 is what Yahuah did and Israel did. Now, Bereshit 1, it says what? Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamin with haaretz, right now. It says, in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth, right? So he built a place right? He built a place for a dwelling, right? Then it says the tabernacle was made for to his specification for his presence as well. You remember, Israel made a place for him to dwell, right? Genesis 2:8 says, and Yahuah planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. I love what I made. I love this person. I'm gonna put who I love or whom I love into my garden. Everyone with me so far? Then we see the next level is Yeshayahu, Isaiah 5:4. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes. And he's talking about Israel. Israel became his vineyard. Okay, Yirmiyahu 3:14. Turn, O backsliding children, saying, Behold, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and will bring you into Zion or Zion. Everyone sees the building, the vineyard, and the marriage. That's the process that it goes down in this order. Okay? All right. So the first three type of men were those that prepared a house and created a vineyard and gotten married. The same three things Yahuah did. He wanted us to experience what he did for us. He wanted us to relate to him. And I put his whole book is about love and unity. That's what we're supposed to be getting out of this whole principle of the Torah, the Tanakh, the Brit Chadashah. That's what we're supposed to have. All right, so about the last man. Fear is to be seen in a way that helps not just you, but everyone. Some examples of fear. Now, before I read them, remember, he sent them home so that he wouldn't contaminate, if you will, all the other people, right? But listen to what it says, Shemot, Exodus 18:21. Moreover, you shall provide out of all the people able men such as fear Elohim, men of truth, hating ... Debariym 6:13 says, you shall fear Yahuah Elohim and serve him, and shall swear by his name. Mishnah of Proverbs 9:10 says, the fear of Yahuah is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Chodesh, or the set apart, is understanding. So again, if you don't have this fear, you need to learn what fear is before you mess up everybody else.
So it's the fear of the Most High.
You got to have it. He didn't have it. He wasn't ready. Remember, if we're about to go to war. Most High is telling him to go to war, but he's scared. Is there a relationship problem here?
Yes.
Absolutely.
How?
So we don't need you. Go back home, spend some time, learn who you have. Okay? All right. Judging the house. First Peter 4:17 says, for the time has come that judgment, that's our Torah Parsha name, must begin at the house of Elohim, and it first begins at us. Where does it begin?
Yes.
Okay, that's your house. What shall the end be of them that obey not the Besorah of Elohim, or the good news of Elohim? Okay? If judgment's going to start in his house, and you're claiming you're part of his house, there have to be some things you might need to consider. Okay, we're going to see what that is in just a minute. So what house is Elohim referring to? Everyone already knows, right? So I want to give an example of something. Leviticus 14:44. It says, then the priest shall come and look, and behold, if the plague be spread in the house, it is fretting leprosy in the house, it is unclean. Now, remember how did Mary get leprosy? How did that happen? Huh? Okay, her mouth caused her leprosy. She became unclean, right? You remember the story with Nahum, right? Elisha? Mm-hmm. All that stuff that he did caused him to have leprosy, right? So again, think about that. But right now we're talking about fretting. Okay, fretting. Look at what that is. So it's ma'ar, which means to be. Wait a minute. Fretting in the house. Could you have someone bitter in their house? Huh? Someone like that? Or what else is it? It'd be painful. Not only painful, but picking. What is going on here? This is a whole different type of leprosy now, huh? So I'm not gonna go over the history behind what happened in some older writings about how it's alleged that when they knew Israel was coming and they decided to put all their mighty ones in their walls and things like that. But my point here solely is to say for us, I'm just taking it to the next level here, is if you think about your house, do you have any fretting leprosy? Do you have any bitterness inside your house? Pain, picking. Do we have any of that? So I'm glad we don't have that. So we all are ready. Hallelujah. Man, the Father's awesome.
Still working on it.
All right. So we know this is speaking of the physical house, but how does this work with your house? Okay, your body. So here's some other definitions of that word from an older dictionary. To excite hostility. Huh? This is inside of you, inside your house. This is fretting now. I want you to understand what this is fretting, meaning now you're causing some to excite some. How about irritate? Huh? Breaking open something, breaking open the wound. No, none of us. Okay, man, we're doing excellent. From the Hipfield pattern to prick, pain. I know none of us is thorns in each other, so we should be good. We don't figure we're not oppressors. Nah, that's not us, right? So again, if this is in your house and he's judging the house, you better consider your ways. Okay? Because again, if you start there and you're saying, I'm ready, you know, you're going to find out just how ready you are. You might hear that. It seems like I'm ready. Okay, we could go.
Yeah, right.
All right. Leviticus 14:34. Oh, yeah. So it says, when you become into the land of Canaan or Canaan, which I give to you for a possession, and I put the plague, listen, and who does it? I put the plague of leprosy in a house of the land of your possession, and he that owns the house shall come and tell the priest, saying, it seems to me there is a plague in the house. Now, okay, can Yahuah put a plague in your house, meaning your body?
Yes.
Huh? Okay, think about it this way. Why are there things plaguing your life? You think, I can't get rid of this thing that is in my mind or in my heart. Could we be fighting Yahuah? Okay, something to think about first, right? He know his flesh. Yeah, he some of them know his flesh. Huh? All right, now, you cannot rebuke what Yahuah sends. If he put the plague in you because he knows you, you can't take it out. You got to come to him to take it out. Okay? Remember that. So we start thinking about, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Oh, you're not? Okay. But if that's what I have for you, you still won't do it. Think about Jonah. I'm not going to go do that. He's going to get on the boat. He said, really? You're not going to do that, huh? And he wound up doing it anyway. But he had to go through something that he could have avoided had he just went. Some of us today, some things we can avoid if we just simply obey. If we just be obedient, say, Father, if that's what it is, that's what it is.
It's hard, Moreh.
It is. I'm glad this is recorded on this lesson. So they can always come back and think about it. Father, it was hard. He says, okay, if you could just close my door with you on the outside, we greatly appreciate it. You don't want that part. You don't want that hard, right? It becomes easier when that day, for some, they're thinking when that day comes, they got that option. Oh, Father, I'm ready now. What you need from me? You know I love you. I'll be on my knees. Look at all this callus and stuff on my hands and my knees. I love you. He said, but I've been trying to talk to you so long.
Excuse me, Moreh.
Huh?
I have a question. With what you're saying. Now, is the Most High only acting this way towards his children? I'm asking this question for a reason, or does this apply to everyone? You know, what you're saying. You know, because like it's like is the Most High making us putting us through stuff to make us do what he wants us to do, or you know, because sometimes it sounds like, you know, the Most High could be sadistic, you know. So that's I just like, you know, just want some clarity on it.
Oh, sure. So the reality is the majority of times it is the Father doing it to his people because his people made a covenant with him. You can't make a covenant with the Father or a vow with him and then not perform it and then think there's no consequences to it. Okay, you just can't do it. So a lot of it is dealing with it. The only similarity, some place where you find that he does it to others is if he's having them do something for his people. And if they refuse to do it, then they will go through something until they do what they're supposed to do for his people. But if this is all centered around his people and his marriage and him becoming a king, it's about his people.
I mean,
Hallelujah. All right. So 2 things to consider when it seems there is a plague in the house. It can be the enemy, right? No brainer, no problem with that. Number 2, it can be Yahuah. If it is Yahuah, you must figure out why. Until you deal with the condition or conditions of the house, the plague will not be removed. Could we still have some nation ways still in our house, meaning our mind and our house and our hearts, that is plaguing us today?
Absolutely.
You know, I just can't do that. I'm not going to do this. Father, you know me. I love you. You're the best. Okay? You know, go over. No. Did you see what was over there? Oh, you want me to be a part of that? No, I don't want to be a part of that. We are now fighting him. But then you're going to also pray every day, every night, once a week, however you do it, once a month, once a year. I don't know how people's prayers are.
My point is, won't ask me to do something like that. Not my Yah.
Yeah.
My Yah won't ask me to do that.
Yah wouldn't do that to me.
Not my Yah.
Has he talked to you? Well, you know, I had this feeling. And based off what I'm feeling, this is what I believe he's saying to me. Question, is it your feeling? If it's his feeling. I mean, unless someone is specifically came down with some white garments, literally talked to you and said, Yahuah says you should do. You need to figure out what he wants for you in your life. And sometimes he gives you clues. That's the other part. The main part we miss is clues. Can anyone give me some example or some clues that he could be talking to you? Anyone?
Confirmations.
Huh?
Confirmations.
Confirmations like?
People that don't know you.
Okay, so sometimes you could be thinking something, someone else says it, right? Sometimes you start finding things that, my goodness, we got some similarities of some sort. Is something going on? Could that be the Father? There's a lot of stuff that you got to figure out. Is this the Father or not? Because the Father does nothing by mistake. When he starts gathering his people, how does he gather his people? He's supposed to be getting like-minded people. It's not being unequally yoked, right? You can't, hey, but does light have a darkness? So you know, hey, I'm not in the dark. You're in the light. Well, what's the light? Your word is a light, right? So if his word is a light and you're claiming you're the light, can the word then change? Okay. So then if you don't like something the word tells you to do, what happens?
You change.
You change, not his word. That's what I'm saying. He's asking, he wants to see where we are in our hearts. Because when the time comes, I guarantee you, remember everyone remembers 9/11, right? We're about to close. I know. We're about to close. I saw her yarning. We're about to close. Don't you worry. I see it. 9/11.
But Moreh, I have a question. What if you're doing the law, statutes, and commandments that you're supposed to be doing, but other members in your house aren't doing it?
Get that belt. Get that belt. No, I'm just messing. The best you can do is still encourage, but you got to get the house in order. He gives you that, whoever's the head of the house, he gives them that liberty if they use it to get the house in order. If they don't do that, then there's a decision that may not be favorable for that person in their house. I might have to have you have another place. You're not going to bring this wickedness or evil in my house. You know, try him. But I'm not saying you just forget about that person. You still try to nurture. You still try to help, but you don't want wickedness in your home. And you want the Father to bless it. Now, don't get me wrong. If you want the Father in your house and you got disarray in the house because someone wants to be rebellious, so they just it's not going to work that way. And I'm talking about the head, not talking about, like, say, children or things like that. You're going to have that all the time. All you need is
Okay. That's what I was talking about. I mean, like, you just have, rebellious kids, and they just, and I'm just like, come on, and they're just like, and I'm just like,
Oh,
So-
yeah. I'll be like, wait a minute, I'll be right back. I'm going to Lowe's. I'm going to get a shed. No, you ain't worry about that. Put some electricity in that thing, and that's the car. All right, anyway. All right.
Okay. So that.
No problem. So who is or can be the biggest idol in your life?
People close to you, family, your wife,
Oh, yeah,
kids.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
You or self can be the biggest idol because why? You're the one that determines. What's the purpose of an idol? It's something that you worship, you have connection with. If it goes against yourself, you ain't trying to hear it.
Yeah,
That's not for me. I don't know who someone done told you wrong.
that's right.
Huh? But I'm telling you, this thing would be the biggest idol for you. Could be yourself. I was thinking about now. I know no brother in here would do this that I'm aware of. I mean, whatever you do in your own personal time, he knows. My question is, for Hosea, what did he have to do?
Take a prostitute.
He had to go get a who? A whore. Not just get the whore. What did he have to do? He had to. What else did he have to do? Oh yeah, that thing is gonna be on him and see that child every day. Hey Rama, hello Ami, come here. That's okay.
Was it mine or was it somebody else's?
Yeah, Father, why? Because of what Israel is doing to me. I want you to go tell them this. That's what I said. When you take on a position, you subjected yourself to the one that owns you. Okay, go ahead. What do you have?
Someone's asking, what if you're doing the application? Is it doctrine like yoga said?
Well, if they're mixing stuff and you've tried to share these things with them and they refuse to hear it, you got to remove yourself from it. You don't want to be a part of anything that's wicked. You just don't. You don't want to have none of that in your life.
Well, then what do you consider mixing? You know what I'm saying? So
Well, they gave yoga.
yoga. Oh, okay.
They gave an example of yoga.
Like if they use the top move.
Yeah. Now it depends on what Hebrew you get. They tell you if that's right or wrong. But anyway, yeah, like you say yoga or Hinduism, Buddhists, other nations have other mighty ones. With that Shiva with all the different arms, stuff like that. My point is, you start getting to that stuff and mixing it. Well, it's the chakra. It's the chakra that you got to get a part of. It's the bina, the keter.
Third eye.
That third eye is there. What you see in that third eye
Piano.
is this and it's that, and it has to be. What I'm saying is, when you start opening yourself up to other thoughts that's outside of the word, is simply what I'm talking about. And then you want to put it into the Father's word as though that's what he meant by it, then you're going to have problems. Now, if you have scripture that supports X, Y, and Z, so be it. But if you don't, you're going to have a problem. All right, we're almost there. Who states you are clean? Like when you're dealing with, let's say, the priest, specifically high priest, right? All right. So the high priest is the one that does his inspection and see if you are clean or unclean. We need to think about our high priest. When he comes, will he see in your house and pronounce you clean or unclean? Are we still wrestling with the word of Yahuah?
Yes. All
right. First thing is admittance. In the back, we'll have some oil. We'll get you started. Okay. But you understand that this is how serious this is. Think about it. If he comes tomorrow, if you have a daily mindset, like, it could be any minute now, then you have to ask yourself, am I ready? And if that's a no, you need to get yourself together. Okay? Keep that in mind. All right. He is looking for able bodies that have made themselves ready to be a part of his kingdom. Because everyone's, oh, I want to be a part of the kingdom. But there are ways that he's going to make that happen. And you don't know the way he has for you. That there's a fundamental, foundational way. But the more gifts, the more talents he gives you, the more you got to do something with that talent. You may have a talent that this person will have, or that person will have, but you must perform your talent. All right. We will appear before him to see if there is anything in our house. We need to deal with our house first. Okay. All right. Matthew 25:5 says, and 5 of them were wise and 5 foolish, right? There's 10 wives or brides, right? And 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. Know what makes you wise, which is his word. Okay? Know what makes you wise. All right. The Ruach of the Spirit has to be able to guide in the truth. I mean, guiding you specifically in the truth, which is his word, right? So it should what? Stir up the things that are different from his word. So whatever you have that's different, his word should say, that's not you, that's not it. You should be able to recognize it. The Spirit should tell you, you should start having a discernment. I'm praying. You should have a discernment of these things, right? And we have to begin to remove the stones or stone out of our lives. Stones are sometimes hard to remove, especially when it is you or what you have been through. Okay? Some of those stones are a little hard. They done turn to boulders, right? They done turn to big old rocks, and you can't get around it. And then just keeps it's like a snowball. You ever see it put a little ball and it goes bigger and bigger and bigger as it go down the hill? The point is, you got to get these things out. Remember, he said, I would take out a stony heart and put a heart of flesh and cause you to walk a certain way, right? You don't want these stones in your life. What does he say? Purify them through your truth. Your word is truth. The only thing that's going to purify you is his word. You got to eat everything in that word. You got to believe in that word, that it will do everything. It will purify you. It'll cleanse you. It'll tell you how to walk. It'll tell you how to talk. It'll tell you how to treat one another. It'll tell you a whole lot if you believe it. Okay? If we do not get it together, the house may have to be broken down or destroyed. Now, broken down, you may be able to come back from that, like a two-edged sword, right? Cut you up a little bit, but you'll be able to heal okay. But if it's going to be destroyed, that's a whole different story. And you got to figure out what you want. You want to be, Father, I'm broken in heart. I'm broken heart. I need the healing. I need this. Or, Father, just destroy me, kill me. This ain't going to work. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. So, you're not? Yeah, okay. Shalom. All right. Yes, Shielot. Any questions? Right.
Broken considered amputation. Like, for example, there's something that's part of you that needs to be broken off. Is that considered the same concept? Yeah,
same principle. Something that's broken can always be healed, right? Can always be fixed. These are things that are broken. Something that is destroyed is because it's not repairable anymore. So if you're not repairable, then there's a problem. But if you're just broken, or you may cut this off, but you still can get in because that didn't stop. That thing it was your problem. So he can fix that in your life. You may be limping in, so to speak. It'd be a different story. But my point is, something that has to be destroyed is a little different story. Now, spiritually talking about, if you're destroying your old way and your old life, that's something different. But I'm saying is, if there's things in you that you're in the walk, you just refuse to operate in or do, or if he tells you to do something, you're really rebelling against him. When you start rebelling against him, you create this thing, this block of the separation between you and the Most High.
So cutting off, is that including people too?
Absolutely. Yeah, because if not, little leaven will leaven that whole lump. In other words, there are people that, they're not good for you. Now, there's a difference between someone that's trying to help somebody and trying to get them somewhere versus, hey, what time you go? I don't normally go. I'll go to the jazz club with you tonight. And then next, they start to influence you. And you notice in Israel, it's always Israel changing to the nations. You see that? They're always, that's why he said, man, don't do the ways of the nation. Don't do the ways of the Gentiles. Get away from that, because he knows they're easily influenced. That's just how they are. Even today. It looks good.
How does one know that they truly removed the stone?
Well, they'll know because it wouldn't be a problem for them no more. That's how they know it's been destroyed. You can't, if it's destroyed, no problem. But if you think it's destroyed and then let's say something happens and you go inside the room and you're punching your pillows and you're kicking and you're angry, it's still there. It's just you're hiding it now. That don't faze me. Let's do this. That don't faze me neither. Let's do that. That's how that works. All right. All right. Hallelujah. So after we eat, I got some videos for everybody to watch. It'll be pretty decent, and then we'll go from there.
Moreh, are we going to continue this Parsha next week?
No. This Parsha has a lot of stuff in it. I mean, it has a lot. I just was enough to break up this bit, but it's a lot in there. That's why I normally do like each year I try to do something a little bit different than the other year's Parsha, because that's how much stuff is in it.
Okay, it's just really fascinating. I was just kind of wondering. This is, well, all of the Parshas are awesome. It's just, this one is just really, awesome.
Hallelujah.
Thank you, Toda.
Are you going to be teaching in Ki Titsi next year or next week?
Yeah. I'll still be teaching each Parsha. I'll still be rolling until I'm in the land on the Mediterranean Sea.
Okay.
You said, what does someone have?
Hello, Moreh.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Is it correct to say his words?
Yeah, that's a good assessment. And in Yahuah, Isaiah says we are created to be appraised.
What was the question? The question was, is it correct to say Yahuah created us to so when we read his word, we see how we are created?
Too late.
Yeah.
One more time. Is it correct to say Yahuah created us to resemble his word? So when we read his word, we see how we are created to be.
Right. Yes, you can. Yes. And then I just add Isaiah, for example. It talks about we're created to be appraised. So yes, we're supposed to be a light. His word is a light. The best we can do is try to make more lights.
They're asking, is it permissible to cook on the Shabbat?
Okay, here.
Okay.
We don't cook on the Shabbat. No.
Okay. Like on the stove, you can't do that.
Right. The next question will be is defining what cooking is too.
How do you keep the stove?
But I think we went over that last Parsha. We went over what cooking is. All right. Any other questions?
You go to the park. With your
Say again.
Can you go to the park with your Mishpah? Or it's supposed to just be
You
about
like.
the Father's word.
You see Mashiach. That's what he did.
Yeah.
He always went.
Going by the lake, hanging out in the mountains.
But only if it's like about Mishpah.
I mean, if you want to go out there and buy some cotton candy and some funnel cake, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about something that's dealing with giving the Father some praise?
Father praise.
Not doing your own ways, finding your own pleasures, but make it a delight.
That's what I wanted to understand.
Right.
I was talking about Isha, about to say stuff, but make sure it was in the Hebrew.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. I say, hey, you can read Isaiah 58, verse 13 to 14. The one that we read every week. Absolutely. Hallelujah. Any other questions? All right. And that's it. We can stand and close. We're going to have Caleb this time close us out. Appreciate y'all. I like that garment. Huh?
Heavenly Father, come before you, giving thanks for life, food, for Mr. Kyle. Thank you for our job. Ask that you forgive us for all of our sins, transgressions, help us walk in your word to learn more about you. God, give thanks for our Moreh for the lesson today. And please guide us and help us to go through life. Name we pray. Amen.
Yeah. All right.
Shalom, shalom.
Moreh,
Shalom, shalom. Oh,
really quick before you, I wanted to wait till after. Question for you.
Huh? Oh, go ahead.
Okay, with the video you were talking about, are you going to be, is that a video just for in-house or is it going to be on Zoom?
Oh, yeah, I can send it to you.
All right.
Yeah, I can send it to you this evening.
Okay. Shalom.
Shalom, Miss Bakar.
Shalom. Doing all right?
Okay. Hey, can you send us that video too?
Say again?
Can we get that video also?
Are you guys inside of a WhatsApp that I can send it as a unit?